This here's a view of the area I normally paddle. It's nice to have a view like this or a way to look at the water before you make your final determination if you're going to go out. If it's too windy or above your skill level, then you can look at it and say, hey, I'm going to save this for another day. In this particular image, the marina below offers a huge amount of protection from wind or swell. Great place to go if you're unsure of the conditions on the outside of the jetty. On the other hand, on a busy weekend or summer day, the boats can be very active, and you need to make sure you yield to the boats as you don't have right of way over them. On the top left, the image, the water is pretty calm, and that's a great place to go for beginners. Off in the distance, where the water is a little darker, that's wind. So might this is a great way to determine if you want to go out in that direction or not. With this image here, we have an image of a boat ramp. Boat ramps can be either a great place to launch or they can be quite chaotic. On a day like this where there's no one there, that's a great time to go. You can pull up, unload your board, and you won't have any problems. But on a day where there's a fishing opening going on and/or a busy weekend, and there's tons of trailers going on, trailers backing out and in, it can actually be quite chaotic. And boaters tend to be territorial and can actually get quite cranky, or crabby as we like to call it. In that case, you want to look for a small boat launch and/or launch on the very far ends, such as the grassy area on the right over there, so you stay out of the way of the chaos. Or if it's too chaotic, go look for another place to launch. There are some areas where the boat ramp is the only place you can launch, so you got to take advantage of that. In this case, we have a rocky beach, and this can actually be a very difficult place to launch, particularly if there's waves coming in. So the sandy beach on the top right is much more safer place to launch and will be a lot easier. But if you don't have that opportunity to have a backup or an easier place to launch, then if you have to launch on the rocks, wear booties to protect your feet. May consider an inflatable board, so if you drop it, you won't have a ding. And/or also a rubber fin. Rubber fins can flex when they hit the rocks, so you don't damage the fin. A marina like this, you can see the boat coming in. If you're lined up on that jetty where the piling is at, the boat can't see you. They have a 180-degree turn. Wait for the boat to pass, then go out. Note that boats do have right-of-way, so give them the right-of-way when the boat is passed and it's time for you to pop out. Launching on a wavy beach like this can also be sketchy. Don't get between the board and the beach like I'm going to do right there, right where the board actually hit me right there. And also, like what I'm doing now, you want to push the board out nose first. Right there, my back is to the waves, so I'm not paying attention. And I'm putting the leash on while I'm out there, and I should have already put the leash on before. Now I'm going to correct my mistakes, spin the board around after I get my leash on there. I am looking for larger set waves coming in. But at this point here, I'm kind of showing a bad example. I'm not really paying attention to the water, and I really should be. Now I'm going to spin the board around, which I should have done from the start. I'm going to get up on the board, and for stability purposes, I'm going to immediately start paddling, and paddle over those waves. And that's how you get out over waves, and once you're out, you're good to go. Here's another beach launching scenario. I'm going to put my leash on. I'm going to jerk on it to make sure if it breaks, it's going to break on the beach, not on the water. Same on my PFD or your leg, shaking it there to make sure it's good and secure. Now I'm going to lift up the board and walk it out so it's fin deep. Fin deep means your fin won't touch the bottom when you stand up. Also, it's deep enough when you fall off the board you won't hurt yourself. Note the board is facing straight out. I'm going to sit on the board, throw my legs up, and head out. Here's another perspective of a beach launch. I'm going to start out by sizing my pedal and make sure it's the right length. Then I'm going to put my leash on, which is slightly out of view there, either on my leg and/or on my life jacket. Pop it on there, jerk it to make sure it's good. I have a pet peeve. I like to get on the board on the right side, so I'm going to walk around and do that. Lift the board up at the handle. Note I have booties on to protect my feet on that rocky beach. Walking the board out so the fin is deep. Sitting on the board, throwing my legs up on the side. Then we'll do the paddler's box. That's how we determine where to hold the paddle when you stand up. Blade's already in the water for stability. I'm going to start to stand up, do a downward dog, walking in, making sure I have a good foundation before I stand. Standing up and paddling immediately for stability. Here's another way to stand up on your board, called the English style. Legs are over on the side. I'm going to roll forward. A lot easier for some people to get on the board this way. Make sure I'm good and my belly's over the handle. Knees are shoulder width apart. Downward dog, walking in. I want to make sure I have a good foundation before I stand. My paddle's already in the water for stability. Good to go. Here's that same English style getting up from another perspective. Paddle's already in the water. I'm already set up to stand. Good foundation, shoulder width apart, standing up, blades in the water for stability. Here I'm launching in that same technique, but in this case I'm at the beach and the board is facing out. Then I can head out. I'm going to show you how to land. I'm coming in, I got a few waves behind me, so it's making me come in at some speed. So I'm dragging the paddle behind me to slow me down on both sides there. Bending my knees as well to make sure I have compression, kind of like shock absorbers. Down on my knees, on my butt. I'm going to pop off the board. I'm going to look behind me to make sure there's no waves that are going to affect my getting out of the beach. If a larger set comes in, I might want to wait until those waves pass first, and then I'll continue to go on the beach. You don't want to lose that board and hurt people if they're hanging out. So there are a few waves there, but I'm not too concerned. I think we're going to move forward here. Leash is already off. I'm going to do the suitcase carry, shoulder width, and then coming into the beach there. There's another one coming in, a little flatter. Dragging the paddle behind me to slow me down. Another way to stop the board. I'm going to come right into the beach. This only works on flat beaches. Don't try it on a steep beach. I can walk right off the board, get the leash off. Good to have your knees bent when you come in for a little. It's going to bump around a little bit. Also getting off the board, fin deep, waist deep. I'm going to use a shoulder carry, which is how I carry a lot of my longer boards. Put up on my shoulder. A little sketchy if you do this in wind, but on calm days it works. Good way to carry a big board. And also I carry the board out in waist deep water, so the board's already at my waist height, and it's easier to lift it up that way.